Welcome to Crappens. Don't wait a week for a new video. Join our Patreon at the Crappens On Demand level for instant recap access. Link in description. Enjoy the show. Well, hello and welcome to Watch What Crappens, the podcast for all that crap we love to talk about on you, bruvs. I'm Ronnie, and that is Ben over there. Hello, Ben.
Hi, Ronnie. How are you?
Good. How are you? I love your tropical background. How gorgeous.
Thank you. It's a photo of the Algarve, Portugal.
Wow. Which is where we are for today's Real Housewives of Atlanta, everybody. Welcome to Season 15, Episode 11, The Housewives in Portugal. We are on demand, on video, patreon.com/watchwhatcrappens. Hi, everybody. If you'd rather watch these on YouTube, you can. They come out on YouTube the week after. They're posted on Patreon. So join us over there. Come to our socials on Instagram. We're at Watch What Crappens. And then we're at Ben Mandelker and at Ronnie Karam. That's me. Ding. On TikTok and Instagram, both. And here we are with a little Real Housewives of Atlanta. Ben, anything you want to say before you jump in?
It's Atlanta is doing Atlanta. Fun times in Portugal.
Well, it sure picked up at the end. I mean, my God.
Yeah, they dips back into the Bolo pool. And I guess we're going to ride that through the end of the season, perhaps. I guess they're like, let's find the scandal.
Yes. And they love some gay panic on this show. That's another thing
They do.
They really love. So they jumped into both of those things. Another thing they love on this show is not showing up to work. Now, Kenya does it this week by going to the hospital again. Okay. Yeah. Second time. Now, this time she did fall. We saw her fall. But not buying that you needed to go to the hospital. I think she rather would have just been in that miserable hospital situation than hung out with people she considered beneath her, which are the newbies this week.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, another thing that Atlanta did really well this week was make us think there was going to be some sort of fight, but it was just a joke fight. But they teased it last week. They teased it all throughout this episode, and they teased it in the trailer. And it's just a joke fight. So classic Atlanta. Yeah.
It was a fake out, and it wasn't cool to do that to Moneta because poor Moneta probably had a whole week of people like, oh my God, Moneta's coming out. Yes, Moneta's showing up. Finally, Moneta's punching in. And then nothing. Now they're like, fuck off, Moneta.
Yeah. Moneta's not great.
I want to put my iced teas down on you. What are you, a fucking coaster? Jesus, make an effort.
But, we did have Drew Sidora doing Drew Sidora, where Drew Sidora just... really truly being an actor in the funniest ways of being very self-important and being very over the top and then being upset that people would be like, you're being like an actor right now. So that was really fun to watch.
Yeah. So we start with they're at dinner where they were last week. And then Sheree is giving Drew shit about the lawsuit brought against her by the young woman who was auditioning, I guess, to be Drew's chef, and Drew found a hair in her food, so refused to pay this lady, and this lady is taking her to small claims court for $1,000, and now Drew is crying and sobbing because she can't believe that somebody would bring this up and use it against her.
And she's like, I'm tired of my feelings not being acknowledged. And then we see Candy in the back in the restaurant going, and scene when Drew had walked out or whatever. So, which is critical because that becomes the cornerstone of the big fight this episode. So Drew is like, I'm good. I need a moment. Okay. It's all fun and games and we can all say whatever, but this lawsuit is a really big thorn in my side. I mean, this is a big deal. Okay. This is including my family and my kids. And I've never been sued a day in my life. And it's not funny to me. I'm really having a moment. This is a real situation. A lawsuit is not a fucking joke. Literally lawsuits can be jokes. There's an actual term called frivolous lawsuit. They can be funny. Yes. This one's funny.
And Sheree is out there now, right? Because she was just talking to Sanya, but now Sheree's out there. And so Sheree's like, I didn't say it wasn't a big deal. She goes, yes, and you're talking about it. You didn't even hear what I was saying, Sheree. Go back inside, Sheree. Go back inside. And Sheree's like, can I just have a moment with her, please? You guys go back inside. Kenny and Drew, go back inside. Drew, I just want to talk to you. So Drew's like, I mean, blah, blah, blah. Drew's just going on and on, right? This is $1,000. And do you know who it is a big deal to, this lawsuit? The person who's out $1,000 that they spent on cooking a bunch of food for you that you tried not to pay over a hair in your food. Okay,
Yeah.
That's who it's a big deal to. I'm still team chef on this until I see proof otherwise. Team chef.
Yeah. So Drew is like, I'm out here trying to have a moment for me. And Sheree's like, but I'm trying to talk to you. She goes, this is not about you. So don't come and talk to me right now. So Sheree's like, okay, like whatever. I'm not going to deal with this mess. I'm not going to be drawn into it. And she's like, Drew has come to me about plenty of things that you heard online about me. And so we got a flashback of last year when Drew was like, by the way, I heard you're not paying people because that's what like Anthony had told her, etc. And Sheree's basically like, she can dish it, but she can't take it.
100%. She's right. Drew and her crocodile tears. So Sheree's like, listen, I didn't know it was this big of a deal. And Drew's like, Sheree, don't do that. This is really affecting me. So then Marla and Moneta are talking inside, and Marla's like, they're a mess. We got to pray for them, y'all. Hey, Candy, are you going to go check on Drew? Candy's like, no, I'm going to the bathroom. And they all start cracking up.
She's like, I still have to shit my brains out. It's still the same day that we've been here in Portugal. So Candy says, she's like, I've seen Drew have worse arguments and not get that emotional. So, I said and scene because I felt like we're sort of in a movie. And so Drew, meanwhile, back outside, she's like, you don't understand the stress. To hear you talk about it was hurtful to me. I mean, I was at the courthouse before I came here, okay? I was pleading my case to Clarence Thomas and to Sonia Sotomayor. I was at the Supreme Court. That's right. This went all the way up to the top, guys. It's a lot. It's stressful.
Pay your bills. That's my note. So she's like, this isn't just about $1,000. It's about a woman who's reached out to bloggers and reached out to my family to disrespect me and to defame me. And I think any real friend would understand that impact and want to be supportive. No, I just think they should keep showing that clip of Anthony over and over again every single time she boo-hoos, because you were supporting him going to the blogs, and you went on a podcast just recently to defame Sheree's business and, saying she confiscated all the stuff and blah, blah, blah. So, no, you're not supportive either. Boo.
Yeah, the person who defames Drew Sidora the most is Drew Sidora. So Sheree is like, I hate that you're going through a lawsuit. I'm so sorry, Drew. And I didn't know you were going through any of that. And listen, I have it on good authority that Judge Judy will be very kind to you, so don't even worry about it.
And Sheree's like, I mean, she doesn't have $1,000. And she's like, okay, I'm sorry, because this trip is about being vulnerable, and you were being vulnerable, and I appreciate that. And Kenya's like, can I say something? How many of us are on this trip? 8. What is 1,000 divided by 8? I'm going to go in there and make everybody donate to this very important cause.
And Drew's like, no, it's not about the money. We already paid her the money. There are things you just don't know about. Like, she's sort of trying to make it seem like there's something deeper going on here.
No, you're a liar.
Yeah, it's exactly. And Kenya's like, but she's suing you for $1,000. Like, make it go away. And she's like, so if you give someone money and they come back for more money, it's like, you can make it go away.
Give me a break. It's not blackmail. You know what I mean? That's when that argument makes sense. When someone's like, I'll keep you secret, and then you pay them, and then they still have the secret. Okay. But this is somebody asking for $1,000. And what do you that you owe them that they spent on your food, which you don't deny eating? And you're saying we already paid her. So then if you already paid her, what were you doing at the courthouse today? You are such a liar. You just lie over and over again, ma'am.
Exactly. Well, I wonder if this is going to tie in to like whatever scandal they're going to brew up for later in the season. So Drew's like, some people, it's not about money. It's stuff that I can't talk about what's really going on. This is government secrets. This is about things in New Mexico that you don't even want to know about. It's like, Drew, no, this is not about aliens. It's just there was a hair in your food.
And Kenya's like, well, squash it. And Sheree's like, well, your energy was so off in there. You weren't being open in there. You were not being open. And Drew's like, well, I thought it was being received and it made me feel some type of way because it wasn't being received and this is a lot for me. And so, actually, Kenya and Sanya walk away and then Drew's immediately not crying anymore.
You're
So I
right.
did that wrong because she's like, well, I thought it wasn't being received. And then I felt some kind of way about it. And that was a lot. That's a lot. I was like, that's funny. You take away the audience and she's immediately fine, you know?
Right, exactly. So, now Sanya and Kenya go back inside, and that's where Candy is and everything. Oh, they're asking where Candy is, and Marlon's like, "Oh, she's in the bathroom." You know what she said before? She said, "And cut." And so they're like, "Oh my god." And Sonia says, it's like this is the most vulnerable I've seen Drew in so long. And Marlon's like, "Can I just pay $1,000 and have this be done with?" Ugh.
And Sanya's like, yeah, but it's not about the money. There's a lot more that she can't talk about. So the producer is asking Drew, is there something you're not telling the girls? And she's like, well, I think that when I went out of town last year, that's when the manager lady was hitting up Drew for a massage. And at our video shoot, one of the producers was oiling him down for that sex scene, and she invited him to come audition for this Vegas show. And so now he's in Vegas and I'm not really trusting him at this point, which I totally understand. I mean, Ralph is, low down, and I would be upset too if I was married to Ralph. Pay your chef.
Yeah, pay the chef.
Pay your chef.
So Sheree and Drew hug, and they get tangled up with like earrings and braids. And Sonia's explaining more of the conversation to the table. And so Drew comes back with Sheree, and Candy comes back. Sonia's like, another thing I'd really like to see as a group, even if we're not in a good place with the person, still having that respect that when they're speaking, that, we do a poor job with that. And that's just my 2 cents on the issue. And Kenya's like, I think we have a jar somewhere that you can drop those 2 cents into.
And Sheree's like, well, Kenya and I were talking earlier. Kenny's like, oh, God, here we go. Sheree's like, she was in her feelings. And then we see earlier Sheree saying that Candy was sick. And Kenya's saying, yeah, and I was mad at her earlier. And I forced her to stay here because I was like, you're never here. You're never with the group anymore. It's like Candy just knows it's coming,
Mm-hmm.
So Candy's like, I've been working. And she's like, yeah, but you've still been absent with us.
Says Kenya. So Candy's like, well, I have other responsibilities, especially with my group. And Sheree's like, but you haven't been available to us. And Candy's like, well, sometimes when opportunities come up, I can't turn them down. So for me right now, I feel like I'm still in the building stage with my career. And everyone's sort of like surprised because it seems like Candy's already built this big empire.
Yeah. And Candy's like, but you don't want to lose it. Like, I built all this and I don't want to lose. I'm afraid of losing it, And Sheree's like, well, you have to balance family and friends. Are you kidding? You run a fucking Threadless. Like, what are you talking about? And she goes, for me, it's not hard. I need me time. Like, I know you have baseball caps with a logo printed on them. Can we not compare that to like touring the country at the moment, which Candy's doing while producing a movie and running 2 or 3 restaurants, how many ever damn restaurants she has? They're like, I get it. I'm busy. I just learned to find balance.
Yeah. And Candy's like, well, I don't get to have any me time. And she's talking about how she's not been around lately for anything. And her only excuse is that she's working. And she's like afraid that at some point people are going to stop inviting her to things because that's what she would do. So, which is very real. But at the same time, this has like now been like year 5 of a season of people saying like, Candy, you're not around. Candy, what about us? Candy, Candy, Candy. Which I actually also think is unfair because I think Candy is working really hard and she shouldn't necessarily be attacked for that, especially from
fair.
Todd.
I think it's totally fair. Because I think what they're really saying is you're off filming a spinoff and you're off doing all of this other stuff. You're off doing a movie. You're off doing all of this other stuff. You're paid way more than the rest of us combined. And you're not showing up to work. And when you are showing up, you're exhausted or shitting for 3 hours. So this isn't fair. And
Well, that's fair for not showing up to. Well, it's not fair to say I'm not showing up to work because I'm working, because that's not fair. I'm just saying, just like when people are like, you're not here for us. I'm like, well, you're right. You're right.
But, if we're just going by the show, but I think that they're just like, wait a second, you're making a shitload more money than me. And
We don't
you're
even.
not
But the
showing
thing
up.
is,
Come
yeah,
on.
I mean, there's no point going by the show because that's literally what they're saying. They're like, you're not filming with us. Like, what the hell? You're prioritizing your band and whatever spin-off that you probably have. So they're mad at her for basically not doing the show,
Well,
which
if
is
you're
funny
leaving
because they
us,
don't. Seems like they don't want her on the show. Also,
well, I think that's the thing. It's like, get off the pot. Shit or get off the pot, lady. Like the rest of us would love a raise, and you're taking the budget. Okay, the budget is being paid to you. So if you're not even going to show up to work, go, leave.
yeah. So Candy's basically saying that she doesn't have self-care, and so Sheree goes, well, you're gonna get self-care this weekend, all day tomorrow, nothing but self-care and luxury and seeing Portugal and being out in the open in daylight amongst people and not cooped up in, I don't know, a hallway somewhere with other people who are sick.
So it's raining. There's a caution sign, and it's outside we get a close up of the caution sign outside the hotel while everybody's gathering.
Very whimsical caution sign. It's shaped like a banana. So they're very, the W in Algarve is very much like, not only is it not only are we going to tell you it's slippery, we are going to make you think you were driving in Mario Kart and you might spin out of control right now.
Or somebody might throw it. Yeah, somebody's gonna squirt oil all over your window, and you're not going to be able to see for a second. So Marlo and Sanya. God, when am I going to get used to that? What's wrong with me? We have to have Sonia on the air right now on one show tonight, and then we have Sanya on air on another show on the same night. Okay, it's a lot of different pronunciations of the same thing.
It's Sonia and Sanya, but then you have Luann who calls Sonia Sanya. So it's like it's a lot.
My brain is blended. My brain is blended. Okay, so Marlo and Sanya are talking. They're getting glam done, and Marlo's like, "Wait a minute, your hair is burning," and the wig is on fire, and it's because they don't have a good converter or something.
Yeah, the electric current is different, so I think it's a little hypercharged at the moment. So, yeah, hair's on fire, and Monyetta's asking Drew if she healed with Sheree, and Drew says like yes, and she hopes it was like really received. And Candy is feeling better today. She took some Imodium, so now she can finally enjoy all of Portugal. A day of enjoying the sights and sounds of Portugal for Candy Burris.
Yeah. And Sanya comes down, and Marlo's like, "Oh my God, Sanya! I told Sanya what to wear, and she came down with ripped up jeans. I mean, come on! I don't want you looking like Billie Jean, your girl Drew over there." And it shows Drew, and she's wearing jeans and a jean jacket. She's like, "That's some denim on denim violence going on over there."
So the plan for today is that they're going to go to a market. They're going to pick out some food, and then the chef is going to prepare the food for them for like lunch, and then they're going to go to a Portuguese pottery class, and that's all in one day.
Yeah. So then we see Sheree just keeps saying the girls are so divided. We really need this. We really need to pick some fish together. This will fix everything. So no one has seen Kenya. And we cut to Kenya, and Kenya is taking her sweet-ass time, drinking some coffee in her room, refusing to answer the phone. Typical. Typical Kenya.
As usual. And so finally at 11:30 a.m., they were already, I think, at 10:30 or so. And now an hour later, Kenya comes downstairs, and the sliding doors open up for her. She walks out, and right where the banana peel is, she takes one step and just falls on her butt.
Literally right next to the sign. And she's like, "Oh, my back." So, she's like, "Don't move me. Don't move me." And production's over there, and they're like, "Oh, no." And she's crying, and she's like, "I feel it coming from my coccyx bone. The excruciating pain." What's a coccyx bone?
That's like your tailbone. That's your tailbone, yeah.
I learned something new today. Coccyx bone.
I kind of felt bad for her because she just like falls, like splat on the sidewalk. And we see from another angle, the driver of the bus is just sort of standing there, and he just sort of starts walking over slowly, like, I guess I should help her. I mean, she's like writhing on the sidewalk in front of the doors to this hotel, and no one is going to help her. And it must be, honestly, very humiliating when you're lying there in pain and there's someone with a camera who could help you, but instead they just have a camera in your face like, yeah, get this all, get everything, get every moment.
It might have been less slippery at 10:30. this episode.
I was gonna say that.
So Marlo, by the way, she's okay, which is why I'm making fun of it. If she was really injured, it would be different, guys. Okay, so now they have to wait, right? And the cast is visibly annoyed by this. Like they're trying to be like, "Oh, poor Kenya." They're like, "Great, now we have to. Now we're stuck sitting here in the rain, waiting for longer while they decide what to do with Kenya." So Marlo's like, "I'm putting on panties so things won't crawl up me in this market wherever we're going to."
So Drew's like, then they go back into the hotel while they wait. So Drew and Courtney are sitting at like a bar or something like that. And Drew goes, "Well, that was very unfortunate." And Courtney goes, "Yeah, well, the universe has a strange way of forcing things sometimes when it's necessary. You don't believe that, right? Like you believe that, right? It's called karma." And
What a asshole thing to say.
I mean, it's one thing for us to say it, but when you are trying to be your friend with this person.
So Drew's like, "So wait, you're saying that her falling down was karma?" And she goes, "I didn't say that. I mean, I'm not God. What am I going to say about it?" She goes, "But what was that? Just a stretcher? They're getting her on a stretcher?" And Courtney goes, "Oh, it's something dramatic. We need to clear the negative energy out, right? And that's why things like that happen."
Guarantee this will all be used against Courtney very soon. Drew's gonna say, there was something that I just couldn't get out of my head that Courtney said, and I think that Kenya, you should know about it. Like I can see this all going down very soon.
Yes, of course, as it should be. What a fucking stupid thing to say, especially by someone who adds as much as Courtney does. It's like, why aren't you thrilled? You're gonna actually get some more camera time, So Drew's basically like, "Oh Lord," but she says it in that way like, "I'm telling on you." And Courtney's like, "Well, we all deal with karma, and that girl's mean, and that's how karma works."
And Drew's like, the karma statement is just like not settling with me, and we need to choose our words carefully and watch how we speak about people when they're in this type of situation, because some of us are being sued. Okay, this is a very dramatic situation for me.
Oh, really? You're going to turn on your ambulance sirens? Well, I wish someone had done that when I got sued, because it's very serious. So they've got her on the stretcher. They're putting her in the ambulance. And Kenya's like, "Candy, I need you." Candy's like, "Fucking A, man. I could just spend one day having fun, and I have to go to the fucking hospital with Kenya."
Yeah, because Candy apparently is only there for an abbreviated amount of time because she has more concerts. So her first day she was sick, and this is her second day. She's not happy. So while Candy and Kenya go off to the hospital, everyone else goes to this market where they're going to be picking out seafood. So they head there, and Drew goes, "Who takes your friends on a vacation during the rainy season?" I'm like, "Excuse you? Did you just receive a free vacation to Portugal and you're complaining about it because Sheree was not able to control the weather?"
So they get there and they meet Chef Oliveira, who's pure hotness. And they start looking at different things around there. And Marlo's like, "Do you have catfish? I used to get those when I was younger and eat them. I was a foster child." So then they start getting stuff that he's going to basically make at the restaurant. And Sheree's like, "Look at this rabbit." Marlo goes, "Look at that booty you got. He got a BBL."
Yeah, and then they like stop, and then they have like a close up. They expand the rabbit's butt, and then they're talking about BBLs. This is like one of those moments when like Atlanta doesn't really have content to fill the hour, so they start doing things like playing with how a dead rabbit's butt looks, and then they all chime in about a BBL, and they chime in about the rabbit and the rabbit's butt, and I'm like, how about we have fewer episodes for Atlanta, and so we can condense the material, so we don't have to have like lots of BBL, like rabbit BBL silly times.
Yeah, when other shows start declining, they put them on 12 episode notice. When they're like, "Okay, your season is now 12 to 15 episodes. Okay, until you prove yourself again." And this show needs it. So then Drew and Courtney, wait, who walks in?
Courtney and Sanya. Yeah, Courtney and Sanya walk into like a stall, and Courtney's like, "Hi, what do you guys sell here?" And it's like very obviously a wine purveyor.
There's all these ding, 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 ding arrows pointing everywhere that say wine, 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 wine.
Yeah. And Moneta calls Candy, and Candy has she's been in the waiting room all day long, and there's apparently like a very long line of people there waiting, and no one speaks English, and it just is basically hell there in the hospital.
And Marlo's like, well, she really needs to know someone here. I mean, now it's really about being worldwide. And she goes, there's no way I would have gone to the hospital and waited in line and blended in with everyone else. And that's what Candy does. Every time she goes somewhere, she just blends right in. I mean, she's not even tall enough to stand in. I know that you're trying to diss Candy, but you're basically like, wow, Candy is a non spoiled
Humble celebrity.
who's like humble and kind to people and doesn't think she's better than everybody just because she's famous.
Yeah, and I guarantee there was a producer there trying to expedite it. Like, the producers are not trying to have two of their stars be sidelined while they shoot an already struggling show. So, so Monyetta's like, yeah, someone needs to be there to say, this is a VIP. Can we expedite this? I'm like, sure. I'm sure that'll really work in this city where no one knows who any of you are.
Yeah. So let's see. So Sheree's on Marlo's side, of course. She's like, so she's worldwide, right, Candy? Everyone's silent. So then she's like, okay, do you guys want pastries now? So they go look at that. So they leave the market, and they're doing that Housewives thing we talked about a little bit on New York, where they're just cheering like way too loudly about nothing. They're like, oh my God, we're so fun. Yes.
Yeah, and then they go to a restaurant, and Sheree tries to order green wine, which she thinks is going to be green, which I thought was going to be green too, to be honest, because it's called green wine, but it's not green. And then Marlo, she's talking about how she spoke with Scott Lee last night, and she's like, yeah, he was like, baby, you sound tired. And I was like, ooh, that voice sounds good. Oh, Scott Lee. And she's really feeling Scott Lee right now.
And Sheree's like, well, Kenya said that it's not real. And Monyetta's like, well, I mean, I guess it's a little early to be putting him around everybody, but some people do it differently. Okay. So Marlo's all offended. But Monyetta says, well, listen, it's whatever. Who cares? So Sheree's like, well, you know that she knows Roy too. I'm like, oh my God. Bring it up again, guys. This is really a sad scene because it starts with Sheree going, what did you guys think of that market? And everyone literally just stares at each other like, is there anything?
Do we have anything to talk about?
Marlo's fake boyfriend. Nobody want to talk. Hey, you guys want to talk about Kenya's fake boyfriend? What should we talk about next? Anything.
So Marlo is, Monyetta is like, you know what? Like, I didn't really like how you were trying to like take her shine, like you brought it up like, oh, I just went on a date with him. And Marlo's like, well, I went on a date with him in 2018. I mean, I saw a picture of him and because she like waved in my face. I was like, oh my God, is that Roy? And Monyetta's like, yeah, but I wouldn't go to the DMs. You went directly to the DMs. Monyetta, you don't have to defend Kenya on this. You don't have to be her stand-in for this stupid ass fight.
She's mad at her because she pulled out evidence of it. And Marlo goes, yeah, well, she went to the DM for Martell. So were you there? Like, I just do things she did. I went to the DM. And Sheree's like, yeah. And speaking of Martell, that DM wasn't there. But this DM was there. Sheree making a point of not a point at all because Martell erased the DM that's supposed to mean something. It makes him look more guilty, Sheree. Sheree's like, I broke the internet. You didn't pay your host monster bill. Okay, so then Sheree's like, yeah, damn Monyetta, you think it's okay for Kenya to talk about a DM but not Marlo to talk about a DM? That's such a double standard. And just ass kissing. Pull your head out of Candy and Kenya's ass. Pull your head out. Pull your ring out.
So then Sheree gets a phone call and she's got one of those her ringer is just like one of those an old fashioned phone sound, which for some reason is like the loudest ringer. It's definitely about like 20 decibels louder than any other ringer. So it's like, so they're like, oh, is that your old lady phone? She's like, this house phone. This is like normal. This is like a normal regular ringer. What's wrong with this ringer? It's like,
ugh, I hate that noise. My mom has the worst ringer. She has the loudest one. It goes like ducks. It's a duck singing that. I can't.
The ringer that goes is actually programmed to only make noise and only go off when you're in a movie theater. I don't know if you know that. Like you have like that's the only time it works when you're watching a movie. And then someone the only people who have that ringer are people who actually don't know how to turn the ringer off. So when it goes off in a movie theater, they then pick up the phone and then they just like they juggle it in their hands and then they stare at it and they poke their phone for a good like 30 seconds until they figure out how to actually turn the ringer off.
So then Martell calls Sheree and Martell's like, so, God, we've never been apart this much without having sex. So be sure to think of me tonight. I'm on speakerphone, right, ladies? And they're like, oh, my God. And Sanya's like, I know this is the unpopular opinion, but I really genuinely like Martell with Sheree.
Good for you. And so Courtney's like, I am here for Sheree and Martell's relationship. It's fun and it's positive. It's like a high vibe.
And Marlo's like, any man with a pulse and no ankle bracelets, an upgrade from Tyrone. Which would be funnier if you weren't dating an ex-con, like 6 times over.
So Sheree's, so the food arrives. By the way, this is all the food that they purchased from the market. So it's arriving. And Sheree's like, when I talk about this trip and being authentic, you know, they're saying they heard Candy say that when you got up, Drew, she said, and Sonia goes, and scene. And they're like, oh, can't believe she said that. And Drew's like, you know what? I want friends that will care about my life. So when I felt like you weren't hearing me, Sheree, I was so upset. And Sheree's like, I don't think you understand. We're trying to use this as an opportunity to go after Candy right now. It's not about us.
And she's like, well, what I'm saying is how she might have misinterpreted it. And Sheree's like, your friend didn't even go to check on you when you stormed off crying. And Sanya says Drew's afraid to talk to Candy because Candy's like Teflon, Teflon Don, nothing sticks to her. And so Marlo's like, if it was me, you would have annihilated me or anyone at this table.
Can you please be angry at Candy now? But of course, Drew's not really going to be angry at Candy because Candy is offering her a part in a movie. So I feel like it's going to take a bit for Drew to actually get truly mad. So now Sheree and Drew are talking, and Sheree's like, you know, there's some fakeness going on right now. Like, how do you feel about Marlo? Because you said so many times you didn't accept her apology. So maybe you want to be mad at her. I don't know. Can we try to get something going here in this scene?
And Drew's like, well, there wasn't even bad energy until the night at the city winery when Marlo got aggressive for no reason. And then it cuts to, my nephew's dead, bitch. Which, it's always going to be awkward. I don't care how many times they cut back to that scene, but it's so awkward every single time. My nephew's dead, bitch.
I know. It was such a strange and dark place to try to get a storyline going. Oosh. So Drew is like, well, you know, I had no bad interactions with Marlo until City Winery when you got aggressive. And so Marlo goes, well, I am being sincere and I apologize for saying fuck you at the winery. I am truly sorry. So now let us join forces and go against Candy.
So food's delivered. Kenya returns from the hospital 7.5 hours later. And she's like, hallelujah, I don't have any broken bones. We know, Kenya. We fucking know. Literally everybody knew that.
Yeah, exactly. So she says that she's alive and well, and she's just so happy that she's able to talk about the experience. I'm like, you were not in a building that exploded, okay? So Candy's like, great. That was a great fun day. I'm glad I spent the whole day in the hospital with Kenya.
So the other ladies go to a place called Porch's Pottery. So a lady's like, oh, you're going to paint with us. Oh, lovely. Come through and we'll paint. This is family-run business. Irish lady, sorry. I thought it determined in my memory, but they paint. Listen, I've got plenty of bad accents. Which would you like next? I'll give you a bad accent from wherever you'd like, child.
I feel like they were like Portuguese Irish or something. I couldn't quite figure it out. But I will say, if anyone didn't see the show, imagine two ladies. Imagine like what you think two ladies running a pottery studio would look like. And you're probably right.
It's either that or basket weaving on the side of the road. One of those. But glasses from Warby Parker. That's
So
who it is. So they start to paint like little stars and stuff, and Sheree Googles her logo because
yeah,
yeah.
it was kind of funny that it was pitched as, oh, you guys are going to do pottery. And I was fully anticipating. I was like, oh, we all know what's going to happen. It's going to be a scene of them sitting at pottery wheels. And then we got slow-mo and like sex sounds. And then everyone's going to have a talking head where they're going to say things like, oh my God, like this is like being with Martell. This is like being with Scottley. Oh, Candy wishes this was on her podcast. I was fully anticipating it, but they're like, no. Those ladies were the pottery ladies were like, we are not going to let reality stars touch our wheels. We'll give you a circle and a star, and you figure out what to do with it.
And Marlo's like, well, whenever Kenji and Candy aren't here, we all get along. This is so boring. You should not be proud of this, okay?
I know.
You need to be doing something else. No one is here to watch you paint a star.
And the producers were probably like, hey, Moneta, just have a fake fight. And so Moneta's like, blah, 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 blah. And they start they start having like a fake fight. Like, she's like, I don't like the way you looked at me. And Sonya's like, okay, well, every now and then a bitch can get a look. And they start like fake fighting. And the producers were like, no, we don't mean like a fake fight. We just meant like fight, but like over nothing. Ugh, you really messed it up.
So Moneta swings her napkin around and they pretend they're screaming. And then we come back from break and we know it's scene.
Yeah.
And so Drew is telling us.
Drew gets mad because they do the fake fight and then they go, and scene. And they laugh. And then Drew is like, really? 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 Like, I just feel like it's the peanut gallery. Everyone just shares Candy's brain now. I'm like, I hate to break it to you, Drew Sidora, but and scene is like a pretty common thing that people say. It was not some line that was devised purely to torment you.
And then Drew sees Sheree's little star that she painted, and she goes, you know that knockoff stars are going to end up on the She by Sheree site for $150 next week, which is funny, but you're also like
complaining
about
about
the whole episode about everybody being insensitive to you.
Exactly. So they go back to the hotel because it's going to be a slumber party tonight. And Sheree talks to Martell on the phone, and she's like, Martell and I are good right now. I get along so well with this man. I prefer to be at the hotel hands down instead of with the ladies. So yeah, it's going well until he cheats. And then Kenya's checking the People's Choice Awards to see if she won, but she lost.
She lost
Khloe
to
Kardashian.
Chloe. She's like, come on, Chloe. So then Sheree orders room service, and she's saying it's Candy's last day, so they're going to just stay at the hotel and unwind. And she's like, I just want to keep the peace. And that's why I just told Drew that Candy said mean stuff about her, thus starting a fight.
Yeah.
Can't wait for this.
So Candy joins at long last. She looks exhausted and annoyed, and she probably wants to just go to sleep, but she's like, I have to film some sort of scene with everyone. So she shows up. She talks to everyone.
Like trying to put on cute pajamas, but Candy just wears, sweatpants. Yeah. And a sweatshirt that says, do I look like I fly economy? And in that outfit, yes.
Yes.
And Sheree goes, Candy's walking in here like Chloe from Set It Off. It's Queen Latifah.
Yep. And so Candy's talking about she's like, I always come through for my friends. But so even though I spread myself thin, I love my friends, and I'm just glad I get a second to chill with them. Lies, you want to go to sleep. We can all see it on your face.
So Sandy asks about the hospital, and Candy's like, that was frightening. It was like The Walking Dead. All those people in there. But she just needed a prescription, and then she's fine. And Drew's like, well, since you're leaving, it was brought to my attention that last night while I was having an emotional moment, oh gosh, who told me? I don't remember. But when I got up, you were basically saying, Candy goes, I said, and scene.
He's like, yes, because you were making a scene. And Sonya's like you were acting. She was saying it like you were acting. And Drew's like, thank you, I am an actress. But that was a real moment. It was a real moment by a successful actress, and I felt disrespected in that moment.
And Candy's like, well, it wasn't even that serious of a conversation. So my first instinct was just to make a joke about it. And Drew's like, oh, so we're just going to sum up at that moment like I need to act? Like, I don't have enough acting jobs at the moment? I mean, is that because right now I've got this? I've got the thing that you're giving me where I have to pretend to be sexually attracted to Todd, I think. I hope not. God, what is this plot? Then there's that other thing. There's that roller skating film that I just did.
Yes. I just wrapped up pre-pro on The Hours Part 2. Yeah, it's sort of like a new take on that movie. I'll be in that.
Oh, yeah. So, Candy's like, listen, sometimes people are just a little uptight. I mean, my God. And Courtney's like, I thought it was fun, Shade.
Well, there's a time for fun, Shade. You know, like when you're landing a job in an acting vehicle. And there's a time to laugh, like when you're acting in said acting vehicle. And there's a time to go at it, like when the job is done. And there's a time for me, which I've never experienced with Job. It was just me being vulnerable. And like my immediate response was just to walk out because I'm so rarely vulnerable with this group. I'm like, oh my goodness. She is such an actress.
She's so ridiculous. It was a moment of you not paying your bills and getting called out for it because you called somebody out for that last year and running away because you had nothing to say to excuse yourself. That's what it was, okay? Stop your crying already.
It was literally not being vulnerable because you walked away rather than share what emotional, torment you were going through.
So Drew's like, did it ever occur to you that I'm going through something? I thought we were building a genuine friendship, so I'm very disappointed and very hurt. And Candy's like, okay, well, I'm very sorry, Drew, that I did that.
Drew's like, I'm a real person with real feelings and real roles because I'm also a real actress. And everything is not lights, camera, action with me, even though I am a working actress. It was hurtful.
Candy's like, it was a joke. I wasn't trying to drag you. And Sherea's like, so, I guess that's over. So, Sanya, how have you been? I could see at Mommy Nation someone happened with that person who was doing your hair. Oh, my sister. I can talk about my sister. And they're like, oh,
God. Why did you do that, Sheree?
Shut down the season. I can't.
I know.
Shut it down.
Sonya's like, as like my family dynamics are changing, I keep holding on to this like old dynamic where I was the most important one in my family, but now I don't race anymore. So like I have to figure out like how to let it go. And like, it just hasn't been easy to navigate it. And I just have to grow up. They're like, Drew, can you talk about something?
Oh, so then Candy is like, okay, so Drew, what's been going on with Drop It with Drew? Which that was good. I thought that was really funny because everybody knows literally nothing is going on.
Literally dropped it with Drew. It's been dropped.
So Drew's like, oh, it's still going on. It's still good. It's still good. Because Candy knows if she says drop it with Drew, Drew's going to have to drop everything, literally drop her bullshit crying right now to fake smile and be like, great, everything's going great. It's going great with Drew.
Yeah, it's wonderful. We have 5 more people who lost 100 pounds in 2 weeks. So Marlo's like, oh, well, Drew, I hate working out. I'm just going to like pay for membership to support. So then that upsets Sheree because she's like, well, while we're supporting, I didn't see anyone's name as a customer on the She by Sheree website. I'll have to call up Earthlink to see if your name has been registered in their database.
That's so sad. It says a lot about Sheree's sales that she could just look down and see who's a member or not.
Now that is true. That is a little too real. Yeah. So Magnetta's like, well, Sheree, I didn't see your name on any of my books or whatever. So I guess like Magnetta's hawking something that Sheree didn't purchase. But no one even bothers to ask what that's about. And Marlo's like, I didn't see you at Law Archive either.
I mean, surely somebody needed something for a 6'4" woman in a size 4.
Universal sizing, am I right?
Literally all she sells. One size fits nobody but me. So in the archive. So yeah. Sanya's like, okay, fine, I'll buy some right now. I mean, listen, look, when I'm here, it says it's in stock, but how do I add it to my cart? And Sheree's like, oh, now these bitches act like they don't know how to navigate a website.
Girl, bye. But like they don't know how to navigate a broken website. That's literally the thing you've been advertising all season, that you have a broken website. That's your tagline. So yeah, they don't know how to navigate it. So, and Sonya's like, yeah, we were hyped to support you when it first came out, like, and Sheree's like, but I went to your mommy nation. I gave $5,000. And Sonya's like, I know, and I appreciate it. All we're saying is that, like, our intention is to support you, but the site's not working, and then we get busy and we forget to go back.
I'm sorry, I'm on She by Sheree. Can I just tell you still all she has here? Well, hold on. Let me say before I say anything. Trending, graphic tees, bottoms, unisex hoodies. Let me look at bottoms. Page not found. Okay. This is on her
No,
bottoms.
seriously?
Yep. Graphic tees. She's got her lines, like some of her lines. Joggers, joggers, joggers. She can. She will. She did. She's got some t-shirts with stuff printed on them. Let me see what else here. I already looked at bottoms. Nothing there. Unisex hoodies. Guess what? Page not
Not
found.
found. Mm-hmm.
Tops. Page not found.
Listen,
Softball. A coffee cup and some sweatshirts with her logo or sayings. Sheree, you fucking faker. You still have nothing. I mean, even from shooting this scene where you're pretending to be all upset, you still have literally nothing original except your sayings, which you could do on a threadless. By the way, trucker hats, $35. She's a star jogger hoodie, $162. I can't with you.
I can't. And I got a pop-up that came when I first got to the site. I got a pop-up that was basically, one of those things that's like the new generation of pop-ups where it's not a new window, it's just a thing that appears on your screen. And on the bottom of it, it was like, do you want to make pop-ups too? Follow this link for the plugin. And I was like, I don't know what plugin this is, but what I'm sensing is you did not pay to get the premium version of the plugin where they take away their subscribe to this plugin thing. Like you're doing the free plugin version.
Oh, Sheree.
It's like pay to remove the watermark,
Yeah. So that's where that is right now. So Moneta's like, here's how to put your size in, right? So Sanya's basically what you just said. Okay, so Sheree's like, well, come on, Sanya, I went to your mommy nation thing and I gave you $5,000. And Sanya's like, and I appreciate that. The only thing we're saying is it's always been our intention to support you. And Sheree's like, but nobody did.
Which is kind of true. But anyway, they order their stuff now. Now that Sheree has guided them through it, they order, and Tanya says that we see that they actually had a group chat where they were all gonna like come together and help support Sheree, but they just couldn't do it because it was broken. So then all of a sudden they just start to dance. Then now they're just dancing because why not?
Completely out of stuff. I mean, they've gone to Sanya's sister to nobody buying Sheree's fake business, like clothes from Sheree's fake business. So now they literally just start twerking on each other and wooing to convince us and each other that they're
this
having
is
fun.
sisterhood and girlfriends and great times. And now production wraps at 11:47 p.m. And now, putting a pin in this really quickly, because I saw in my notes that we accidentally skipped a very small scene earlier in the episode, but it sort of sets up this scene, which is that when they were on the way to the market, Courtney, in one of the strangest stretches, they're talking about Portugal, whatever. And she goes, "Oh my God, I'm like discovering we're like discovering all these like fun small cities with like a lot of culture that have like great restaurants and great art and like strong history, like the Isle of Palms, right?" And the Isle of Palms is where Cynthia Bailey had her bachelorette party, where Bolo went dancing. So they introduce the Bolo night earlier in the episode, and you just think like, oh, okay, like they're introducing it so that way they can remind us of like more entertaining episodes. But now it comes back.
Now it's back. So the production shuts down at 11:47 p.m. and someone is, I think it's, whose phone is this? Someone records on their phone cam. They say
I think a producer set up an iPad in the corner of the room. It's like, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll see what I can catch.
So we see phone cam footage 1 hour later. And Marlo's going, but Drew, did she try to kiss you? And Drew's like, she was always humping on me. And Marlo's like, she was humping on you then. Yeah, she was humping on her, guys. And Drew's like, once again, they're reminiscing on the Bolo night. And I hear them say, well, Drew made out with LaToya. And then 2 years ago. And Candy telling us, she was like, no, I didn't. And I was like, yes, you did.
So Drew tells us, I absolutely did not make out with LaToya. I absolutely did not kiss LaToya. I mean, where is that even coming from? And so then the producer goes, LaToya said it at the reunion.
Yeah, Drew, lying, like she doesn't even remember this, you know? And so then we see clips of that. And Drew says, oh, well, this is at the reunion, right? Oh, no, this is now. She goes, oh, well, LaToya told me that Candy told her to say it.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sure.
So now Candy's trying to frame you for what? For making out with somebody
So,
on a drunken night, which literally nobody cared about?
so you can't believe LaToya because she's not a reliable source, but she is reliable about this conspiracy theory. Okay, got
Right.
it.
She's just unreliable about, by curiosity.
You can't trust anything that comes out of her mouth except for the far-fetched conspiracy theory that she told me.
Exactly. So,
So-
2 years ago, we see a clip from the reunion, and LaToya's like, so you cheated on your husband with me? And Drew's like, I cheated on my husband. And then we just goes to Candy squeal laughing. And
Yeah.
LaToya's like, well, we kissed. And Drew's like, we never kissed. That is such a bold-faced lie.
So Drew's like, LaToya apologized to me and Ralph for all the many lies she told. I was like, don't believe that. So Candy's like, girl. And so Drew goes, so I don't have anything to apologize for.
Yeah, she goes, I don't have anything to lie about. That never happened. And Candy tells us, she's like, you're not going to make me unsee what I saw. I saw it. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to sit up here and lie. And Marlo's like, you would lie dead before you lie. That's how Candy is. Candy would never lie. I'm like, oh, God, now Marlo's standing up for Candy? Kind of, what are we turning into?
Well, Marlo's just sniffing out storylines that she can jump onto. She's like, wait a second. Even though I just made up with Drew, I feel like this has some potential. So you're a liar, Drew. So Candy's like, I don't like it when somebody tries to tell me that I'm lying about something. And so Candy's starting to get upset here in this hotel room. And she's like, you want to say that we agree to disagree? And Drew's like, well, what did I lie about? If I kissed her, I would have had no problem saying that I kissed her.
Yeah, and Drew's like, well, people are just making stuff up and running with it, and it doesn't make it true, and they're not going to tell me something I didn't do. So Candy's like, oh, fuck this, I'm going to my room. So the producer asks Marlo, did you see Drew and LaToya kiss? And Marlo's like, 80%, I did see them kiss. And he's like, 80%? What's the other 20%? She's like, I don't know. Drew's got me confused the way she's lying about it. So now I'm believing her. Maybe I didn't see it.
Yeah. So then it goes 3 months later. And then it's sort of like trailery because it says Marlo's reading a headline that says Drew Sidor's husband, Ralph Pittman, files for divorce because the headline was clearly written by Marlo because I'm saying it in her voice. And Shreya's like, I really can't believe it. And they're all kind of like reacting to all these headlines about Drew and Ralph and the breakup and scandal.
Juicy. Yeah, Ralph's like, many people have questions, including myself. Did you kiss her? And the producer's like, what did Ralph say? And Courtney's like, I mean, he just said that. It was no secret.
And then there's another headline that says Drew Sidor's lesbian affair caused her divorce. Ralph denies cheating and abuse. This is messy.
And then we see who Drew is accused of being a cheater with. And I was like,
Kyle Richards. Oh.
It's like, wow, this is a good story.
I know. I'm fingers crossed that we can get a nice like third act of this season.
Here's where I worry. 3 months later. You fucking kidding? 3 months later? This is episode 12. How many episodes are we going for, guys?
I know. What's gonna happen in the 3 months? Do we have to watch it? Can we just fast forward to then?
Jeez. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for being with us for Atlanta. We will be back tomorrow with a couple below decks. We've got a couple below decks coming up, guys.
Yes.
Very exciting times.
Yeah.
Next time.
Bye.
Bye.